We are in the midst of fall camp 2025. It's not very often we get the pleasure of being indoors for interviews, so we appreciate this guy for letting us inside. And right now, not very often behind us is this quiet, so we're able to catch up with Mike Lyznicki, who does an outstanding job here at SIU, the head athletic trainer for Lyznicki football. Give you a little bit behind the scenes here of fall camp. Mike, good to see you, buddy.
Awesome, Luke. Good to see you too.
Okay, I always ask our guys, how are they holding up during fall camp? More importantly, how are you, your staff, through what is a crazy busy stretch here for you all?
Well, the guys are doing good so far. The ones we're worried about,
Yes.
I'm on the back burner, not too much worried about myself in these times. It's a grind, as you know, but I'd say so far so good. About, a little more than halfway now through camp, and it's been good. Weather's been pretty kind to us so far, which is nice. Starting to heat up a little bit, and that first day was a little rough, but not too bad. Guys are doing well. We had a rough season last year, so a lot of guys coming back off of injury, which has been great to see them kind of get out there and compete. And doing well so far. So
the great thing about you, Bree, and your whole staff is the positive personalities that you bring each and every day to this program. And yet when you go through a year like last year where it was just seemed injury after injury, it was just a tough year in terms of that. How do you take that? How do you make sure that you and your staff try not to take those things as personally as you can? Because also, one, you got to be there for the athlete to help them continue to push through and keep them in a positive mindset. But it's clear and obvious. I mean, last year was a tough year for everybody all the way around.
I mean, it's hard for everyone. I mean, it's hard for us, but it's hard for the coaches. But, I mean, you worry most about the guys that are, that are injured. They're the ones missing the time. They're the ones that put in all the work on the field. And for me, it's just kind of, like you said, keeping that positive attitude, like making sure they know that you're going to be with them each step of the way, kind of making sure that everything goes as planned, that they're hitting all their benchmarks, their milestones to make it back to what they want to do. And I think day to day, especially during the season, is just taking the small wins, like you hit your range of motion goal, you're starting a new exercise, stuff like that. Is kind of what helps them get through it. So I would say just kind of making sure that they're comfortable, they trust you, me, and Bree with their rehab and all our doctors and medical staff that we have outside of the facility. So making sure they're comfortable with that and knowing that we're going to do the best that we can to have them back as soon as we can, which sometimes it's not as soon as they'd like, but that's part of the battle. So
we try to do what we can to give a spotlight on just the program in general throughout fall camp and what all goes into it, no question, from a player's perspective and coach's perspective. Give our fans the angle of the amount of staff that you have, that you oversee, and that really help make this thing day to day go as smoothly as possible.
Yeah, so right now it's myself as the head football trainer, and Bree is my assistant athletic trainer. We're the only two full-time staff that we have. We were able to get an intern that she's a student at McKendree this semester, so we'll have her for this semester, which is nice to have some extra hands. And then we employ a good amount of student workers just to help us with the field stuff, hydration and field setup and all that good stuff. But we have a great team. I mean, Dr. Schoenwolf, as you know, is awesome for us. And then all the other staff on the other side of the building, Riley, Jake, Jody, Ken, all those guys down there that help out as much as they can. And they got their own sports to worry about, but it's just great to have a support system. We work with 105 athletes, football players, so it's a balancing act, but we've got as much coverage as we need, and we make it work. So
before we get back to the team and just kind of your role here with Lyznicki football, I kind of want to talk about your past a little bit and how you got here. What led you to ultimately want to get into the athletic training field, and what kind of were some of your initial experiences in it, and how it's lasted to get you here to Carbondale?
Yeah. Well, I did my undergrad at Purdue. Spent 4 years there, 5 years actually, because I went next. My first year was kind of undecided, didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was pretty lucky, honestly. I kind of put my passions together. I always loved sports, wanted to work in sports. But then I always felt like I had a calling to help people. Medicine was always something that interested me, the body, anatomy, all that stuff. So I just kind of put them together, and I was lucky. Purdue has one of the best athletic training programs in the country. So I went through that application process, met a lot of really good people that helped me get through that, and ultimately was accepted into their program. Did 4 years. It was awesome. I loved each rotation that I got to spend time with. And my senior season I spent with the football team. Rondale Moore, those guys that beat number 2 Ohio State. That was an awesome game to work. That was when I kind of fell in love with working with football. So kind of looked for jobs. My dad actually went to SIU. His graduating year was 1983, the last time the Salukis were national champs. Yeah. So I kind of got lucky. Someone called me about this position, was like, hey, would you be interested? It's a graduate assistantship with the football team. It's like, absolutely, looking for something to go to grad school. So I ended up here for my GA spot. Loved everything about Carbondale, all the coaches, strength staff, support staff, everyone was great. Just kind of didn't work out that I would end up staying past my graduate assistantship. So I went to Middle Tennessee, took an internship there, worked there for almost a year, got through the whole football season, and then just kind of worked out that the head job here was open again. Got a call from Coach Hill, got his recruiting spiel. They all kind of tried to recruit me to come back, and it wasn't very hard for me to say yes. So, Coach Meade down in the weight room was still here, Riley and all them that I knew from my graduate assistantship were still here. So it was pretty easy to take this job, and it's been awesome. I've been here, this is my 4th season, I think, as the head, and it's been everything I wanted it to be. So,
what is the most enjoyable part?
I would say just getting to work with the athletes. Like, obviously, it's not your typical desk job where you sit inside and just work on the computer all day. Being out at practice and just getting to know the guys in here in the training room is it's special to me, the bonds that I've built and the athletes that I've worked with. Obviously not a lot of people go on to play in the NFL, but I've known quite a few, but that's not even the biggest part. Like, just knowing that we built a bond and they go on to do other things, whether they're coaching or working just a day-to-day job. But it's just awesome to see where they all go, and just special to know all of them on a deeper level. So
you get to see a lot of them sometimes at their most vulnerable moment.
Yeah.
Right. And, unfortunately, I had to describe some of those moments last year. I love giving you shout outs, but not those type of shout outs when you go onto the field, Mike. But the appreciation, maybe appreciation's not the right word, but it's knowing that you have some really difficult conversations that have to be had with some of these athletes. How do you go about knowing to have those? You really need to have a meaningful relationship with them, and how you go about building that. And not everything is a negative, but it's an important part of that dynamic that you have with the rest of the team.
Yeah. I would say it just kind of starts when they get here. We're usually the first point of contact. They come in, do their physical with us, get all the medical paperwork, all that stuff out of the way. And I just try to get to know them a little bit, just starting there, where they're from, what position they play, obviously their injury history. But but all that stuff just goes into building that relationship. You start there. I obviously will be at all their workouts in the summer, grinding out there with them. And then, when they have something that does bother them, just letting them know that we know what we're doing down here. That's an important part of building that trust. So just the fact that they're able to come in and just see that we can help them is a big part of knowing that if something does come up that's a little more significant that they might miss time for, that they know that what we're saying, and if we have to keep them out or if we have to have one of those difficult conversations, that it all comes from a place of, care for wanting them to be at their best. And again, just helping them get to where they want to be, because obviously no one wants to miss time, but we can help them get back as faster than if they do it on their own. So
no question players can apply pressure, but also coaches
True.
in this role, which means, again, the dynamic and the relationship factor, and not only that you need to have with the head guy, but all the different assistants that are part of the program too. More start at the top with Coach Hill
Sure.
of his understanding of your role and what you've done to make sure that there's a trust both ways, that he understands when you bring something to his attention, he knows that he can take your words and your weight in gold because of just how you guys have been able to operate.
Yeah. Coach Hill's awesome. He's super easy to work with. I think in the realm of head coaches, you kind of get the stigma of like, he's hard. He's, someone that you should like fear. And I don't feel that way about him at all. He's super understanding. He has that same relationship with all the guys that we build, kind of. So he knows that we're not going to tell him something that is just kind of like out of the blue. We're going to, do our due diligence and make sure that we're getting the best care possible. So he's kind of built a staff around him that treats us that same way, that they trust us to do what we went to school for, right? So, and again, just making sure that they know that we care about the guys ahead of the football wins.
Yeah.
And I think they do too, for sure, which is important. The guy's health is going to come first. If we think something's not right, then we have to take the initiative to let them know that and do what's best for the athlete, and not necessarily, or do what's best for the person, not the athlete. So, but we're just as invested in the success of this team as the coaches are, and I think they understand that we're bought in, and that's important. So
there are many guys that I can spotlight with you that are making their journey back this
Sure.
year, as we know, and of course a lot of our fans will no doubt go towards DJ and how he's been doing in camp and throughout the summer. Just from your observations, how is he in here with you and your staff? Because we have spoken so highly of him in terms of a leadership role on the team. Give us perspective of what he's like day to day with you guys
Sure.
as a staff, and what's impressed you about his journey back.
Yeah, I think mostly with DJ is, what you see is what you get. Everything that you guys have talked about and interviewed him about and all that type of stuff, it's exactly what he is. He's a great leader. He's super passionate about football and his teammates, and he cares about the success of the program ahead of the success of himself, which is, everything you want out of your quarterback. His journey through college football hasn't been easy. He's had several season-ending injuries, surgeries, all that type of stuff, and you just hate to see him go down when he was really just getting going last year. It's never easy, especially with something like that. It's like, dang, if that was his other hand, he would be out there still, throwing hand.
It's just a fluke thing.
Right, and it's hard to see, but he, after that first week or so, he's like, you know what, it is what it is. He'd been through an ACL injury, all that type of stuff that had already challenged him so much that he was just like, but we're focused on next season. We're getting better. And he's been great in here. Everything that we've done is the same way he is on the field. He's working hard. He's doing everything he's supposed to be doing. And he's just fun to have around. Easy to get along with. He'll make you laugh all the time. Just happy to have him here for real.
Andrew Boehm and Colin Bohannick are also two guys on the defensive side that have stood out throughout fall camp, but also are guys that have really had to work with you and your staff to get back. What's impressed you about those two specifically?
Sure. I mean, Beamer, Andrew is he's someone that was seriously in here like all the time, like would almost beat me into work, waiting in the training room, like, what can we do today? And his positivity, and with something like he had, plantar fasciitis that he dealt with for so long, his work ethic and being able to stay positive even when he was missing time is something that just really makes my job a lot easier. Like we don't have to fight him to do what he's supposed to do, and he's bought in completely. And then Colin, pretty much right when he transferred in, was someone that I could tell was just a good guy. We bonded over our love of baseball. So even though he's a Cubs fan, we'll make it work.
I am too, by the way, but that's okay.
Yeah, well, I'll let it slide. Go Sox, but that's fine. It's just awesome when you can get transfers that you can immediately tell are going to fit right in and be guys that are going to do what they're supposed to do and are going to be just easy to work with. Like, yeah, Colin, another rough one last year, a bicep tear in the second game, just something you can't really control, but he recognizes that there's a bigger plan, and that, again, he's just going to take everything in stride and work through everything as best as he can, work with what he's got. So
two guys, and I don't want to necessarily say that to the team, they don't go under the radar. And I would even think to our fan base, they don't go under the radar either. But they maybe don't get talked about as much are Aiden Quinn and, of course, Ryan Schwindeman. Schwindy was off to a really good start last year, then unfortunately gets hurt early in that SEMO game. Aiden just could never really get to 100% last year, and he gave it a go as much as he could towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
You know how important those two guys are.
Definitely.
Again, I'm sure two guys with a little bit two different journeys in terms of their injuries, but man, essential guys to what this team really wants to be this year.
They're just some of the toughest guys that we got. I mean, if something goes wrong on the field, something happens, they're going to grit it out until they can't. Yeah. I mean, AJ is a perfect example of that. He's someone, the bumps and bruises, he's going to throw every block. He's going to put his body on the line for the team. And I think that's what you want out of guys that have been here, that's proven they're leaders and great players for us. And then Schwendy is just he's awesome too. I mean, like, obviously caught a bad break last year, but again, just one of the toughest kids you'll meet. And he's not going to let you know anything's wrong until the game's over. He's like, you got through. Now I can tell you about what's happened, And it's just, again, just guys that make the job a lot easier because you don't got to put pressure on them to, come do your rehab. Like, they want to get better and they want to get back out on the field helping the team win. So
the essential part of just helping the guys through this time period. What do you and your staff try to do outside, of course? I mean, look, the obvious thing is taking care of them at practice. You, of course, have treatment sessions. But what do you all bring from an educational standpoint of trying to help them really maximize their time when they're in here each and every day, even on their off days they're in here?
Yeah. A lot of that goes into stuff with Coach Mead, which is, hydrating, eating. You got to make sure that you're doing your best to do those things as often as you can. Sleeping, that stuff just goes a long way in recovery, and we try to do our best to just help them know that, and then again, like you said, educating them on what's best for them during this time, because I mean, it's a grind for all of us, for the coaches, for all of the staff, but they're the ones that got to go out there every day, throw their bodies around, run around, and they just need to know that we have everything that we can to take care of them. We, throw Gatorades, waters, all that drip drop hydration stuff at them as much as we can. But at the end of the day, there's parts where we can't be on them all the time. They got to know that when they leave to go take a nap, whatever, that they're not doing something that's going to negatively affect them. So whether that be eating, hydrating, but then also, if we got off day the next day, don't go home and party. take the
Yeah.
off day. So that stuff's super important. And then again, just giving them space. Like, I'm not one of those athletic trainers that's going to, kick you out if you take a nap on the table. Like, to me, that's helpful for them to have that space to do that. Just and the same goes for guys that come in, want to get some feel good stuff.
Yeah.
They just want to get in the cold tub. Like, that's fine by me. Whatever's going to make them feel the best is what I'm going to try to help them to do. So
Look, could talk to you for all day, but I know you don't have all day. A couple questions here on our way out. When you saw the schedule and knew that this team was going to go to Purdue, what does that mean for you? I mean, I know it's not always just about yourself and your personal background, but what that will mean for you to be back at Ross-Ade Stadium.
Absolutely. It's been a while since I've been back. Honestly, they made a lot of improvements to the stadium that I've seen over social media or anything, but it just means a lot, starting my career, my journey at Purdue, which was such a special place to me. Like I said, I met a lot of mentors and good people that put me in a position to succeed. They taught me tricks of the trade, stuff that again just helps me do my job to the best of my ability. And there's still people there that I feel like I can reach out to if I need something, if I need advice, if I need to talk over something. So just being back there, I think will be pretty special. I've got some family that lives close by, so hopefully have my own little section. Maybe get a shout out on the video board, like "Welcome back."
Yeah.
Something like that would be cool. But
maybe they'll have you direct shout at the end of the third quarter.
I could hope, but but no, just I think it'll be awesome to be back there, be back on the sideline, even if it's for the other team. And I think we've got a good shot.
Absolutely.
I
know that's why this time's really important. Okay, my last thing for you is just because I want to make this individual sweat just a little bit that we're bringing up his name at the end. You brought him up earlier, Doc Schoen. Give me a good Doc Schoenwolf story. Now, there is a lot of material, we know that, and probably not a ton of material that maybe we can necessarily share officially on our broadcast airwaves. But is there a good Doc? And I say that, of course, in all care, Doc, but he does do a lot for you guys. And what really embodies him and the important role that he plays.
Yeah. Doc, he's an easy guy to make friends with. He's an easy guy to make fun of too, which is nice. But he's someone that, again, he's going to do everything that he can to help us win, to help our guys stay healthy. And I bother him probably way more than most of the other athletic trainers do, just because we have so much stuff that goes on in football. But my best, I don't know. He's got a lot of stories about him, but every time we have Sunday treatments following a game, I give him a time. I'm like, all right, let's do it at noon, 11:30, something, whatever. He will almost always be at least half an hour late. So kind of started giving him the time that I know he'd be like fudging it a little bit just so that he might be on time. But there was one time he pushed it. Chase Evans was in here waiting to see Doc after a game. Doc shows up like 45 minutes late. And Chase is like, come on, it's my Sunday. Next time Doc sees him, he's got a Buffalo Wild Wings gift card for him. Like, sorry for making you wait, Chase. Just, he's a goofball, but he's honestly a great doctor. And he's awesome to work with. So,
well, I hope you, Bree, your staff know how much you're appreciated, not just even from our realm, but especially with these guys, and you take care of them throughout the week, and not just throughout the week, throughout fall camp, but obviously year-round. We appreciate the time, Mike, for letting us come in and showing us a little bit of your digs here, and
sure.
Look forward to the rest of the fall camp.
Me too. Thanks for having me, Luke.